for the legendary artist's nameless scheme, and he proved that he still got it. As if that wasn't enough, he brought out Wahoo, and the sweet love hitmaker wowed the revelers.
It's amazing to see a family event where people can come, enjoy an afternoon with good music and with a community of friends or family.
And Nikita Kering, and these two artists are going to be doing renditions of their song. They're going to be put up together with other artists from Africa. They've not yet unveiled these artists, but the minute they do, you know that we are your plug. We will be letting you know who else will be part of Coke Studio Africa.
Can't wait.
Candace, what's that?
I brought you a small bonus.
Bonus for what?
You got us 299 family dinners, 64 kisses on the cheek, 12 road trips to see grandma, 42 jokes from daddy, 49 laughs from mommy.
In over 60 years of dealing with numbers, we've learned that the numbers that matter the most to you are the ones that matter the most to us. NCBA Bank. Go for it.
A very good evening to you. Thank you very much for choosing Channel 1 this evening. This is Prime Edition. It could be a reprieve for Kenyans as the implementation of the Finance Act 2023 has been put on hold pending a case hearing that is challenging the legality of this particular act. The details of that story and much more coming up, but first, the highlights. Implementation of the taxation law suspended until a case challenging its legality is heard and determined.
Where Shakahola sits on is the land that is registered under Chakama Ranching Company Limited. Unless Chakama Ranching Company Limited gave Mackenzie a lease.
Shakahola ownership twist. Government says Pastor Mackenzie is not the legal owner of the land where hundreds of bodies have been exhumed. And opposition chief Raila Odinga in Nairobi's CBD, courtesy of a matatu ride from Karen. Lucy Moura is my colleague on the sign language interpretation, and I am Betty Kiptum sitting in for my colleague Tom Mboya. Now, implementation of the Finance Act 2023 has been put on hold once again, pending the hearing and determination of the case challenging its legality. In a ruling delivered by Milimani High Court, Justice Mugure Thande suspended the entire implementation of the law until the petition by Busia Senator Okia Omtata and 6 others is heard and determined. Justice Thande said that the government failed to demonstrate that it will suffer losses if the conservatory orders are not lifted.
These were the scenes at the entrance of Milimani Locos ahead of the Finance Act 2023 ruling.
Finance bill kata. Boresha uchumi boresha. Sikiza wa Kenya sikiza.
During the virtual court session, the activists chained themselves on the grills of the court's wall, chanting anti-taxation slogans.
Tax must fall! Tax must fall!
And at 2 p.m., Justice Mugure Thande started the court session.
The merits of the case, which must await the full hearing of the petition.
In a ruling, the judge noted that the issues for determination raised by the petitioners were serious and they touch on conflict of the laws.
Well, the application dated 29th of June 2023 was for conservatory orders, and that application has been granted.
Okay, thank you.
The court is also alive to the effect of the prayers sought in the petition, and is also aware of the great public interest generated by the Finance Bill and the Finance Act. In light of the foregoing, I am inclined to exercise my jurisdiction and allow the prayer for certification under Article 165(4) of the Constitution.
Justice Thande also said that the court is aware of the public interest generated by the introduction of the new law and thus satisfied the matter as urgent.
I have no difficulty in finding that the petitioners have established a prima facie case with a probability of success. I also find that if the substratum of the petition is not preserved by having in place conservatory orders, there is imminent danger of rendering the petition nugatory and a mere academic exercise.
Attempts by the Attorney General Justin Muturi through Senior Counsel Githu Muigai to convince the court to lift the conservatory orders were thwarted.
So in the end, and in view of the foregoing, I find that it has not been demonstrated to my satisfaction grounds to warrant the setting aside of the orders of 30th of June 2023.
The suit has now been referred to Chief Justice Martha Koome to empanel a bench to determine the matter. It's a green light to the constitution of a 3-judge bench after Justice Mugure Thande said the petitioners raised serious constitutional issues that needs to be addressed. For Prime Edition, I'm Ruth Wamboi.
And the death toll in the Shakahola massacre could rise significantly following the discovery of 40 more mass graves in Shakahola forest. Interior and National Administration Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki said the new graves that could contain multiple bodies in addition to the 339 exhumed so far.
Speaking when he presided over the official operationalization of Igoji Sub-County in Meru County, Interior and National Administration Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki said 40 more mass graves have been found in Shakahola forest.
Na leo hii katika ile awamu imeanza leo, tuko na makaburi 40 ambayo hajafunguliwa, na kila kaburi mengine tunashuku iko na zaidi ya maiti moja katika ile kaburi.
A total of 339 bodies have so far been exhumed from the mass graves in the forest. Professor Kindiki added that the government will ensure such incidents do not recur in the country.
Wale viongozi wa makanisa ama dini ambao wanafikiria tutakubalia eti kwa sababu kuna haki ya kuabudu kuwe na tukio lingine kama lile la Shakahola, hao wajue hatutalegeza kamba.
He said the cracking down on rogue religious leaders will be intensified to ensure clerics do their work in compliance with the constitution and other relevant laws.
Tutasukumana na wakora wote ambao wamejificha katika madhabahu, yawe ni makanisa, yawe ni hekalu za dini zingine, misikiti. Tutawafurusha wote ambao wanaendeleza dini potovu.
This as Lands and Physical Planning Principal Secretary Nixon Korir confirmed government records showed that preacher Paul Mackenzie does not own 800 acres in Shakahola, Kilifi County. Appearing before the Senate Ad Hoc Committee probing the Shakahola deaths, Korir said the land where Shakahola massacre happened was unoccupied and is part of the 50,000 Chakama Ranch.
We are not aware of any lease to Mackenzie that is registered to us, and we are not aware of any dispute. We don't have any dispute in regards to the parcels of the lands in Shakahola. Allegations that Mackenzie has 800 acres, Chair, the allegations we've had also, but we don't have any evidence of Mackenzie owning any parcel of land there.
Beatrice Getonyang-Etich, Prime Edition.
President William Ruto has asked the parties to the Sudan conflict to declare an unconditional ceasefire and agree to establish a humanitarian zone to facilitate the resolution of the conflict. This is as the death toll stands at more than 2,000 and the crisis exerts more pressure on neighboring countries.
Speaking on Monday in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, during the Intergovernmental Authority on Development Quartet Heads of State and Government meeting that focused on the Sudan conflict, President William Ruto termed the situation in Sudan as dire.
Critical is the need for an immediate assessment of the security and humanitarian situation with a view to ensuring that action is taken to protect the civilian population.
He said there is a need for the Sudan Armed Forces and the Rapid Support Forces to declare an unconditional ceasefire and agree to establish a humanitarian zone in order to stop the loss of lives, ease access to public services, and facilitate the resolution of the conflict.
The structured commencement of 3 pathways towards conflict resolution and the restoration of the voice and aspirations of the people of Sudan for a democratic transition. And I recommend as follows. Track 1, establishment of safe humanitarian corridors.
The head of state is concerned that targeted inter-ethnic attacks were steadily spiraling towards the commission of genocide in Darfur.
The atrocities in Darfur are alarming. The targeted interracial attacks are particularly concerning as they steadily spiral into a humanitarian catastrophe.
The death toll from the Sudan crisis stands at more than 2,000 people, with over 2.9 million others having been displaced. Tilio Marco for Prime Edition.
Back home, Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition leader Raila Odinga has maintained that the cost of living is becoming unbearable for millions of Kenyans every day, urging supporters to embrace his 15 million signatures collection drive to mount pressure on the government to cushion Kenyans against high prices of food, fuel and other basic commodities. Raila, who addressed supporters in Nairobi's Central Business District, has also confirmed that the planned Wednesday demos are still on. But as give us on minor reports, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki has warned against protesters against causing mayhem and destruction of property.
Azimio la Umoja Chief Raila Odinga on Monday morning boarded a matatu from Karen to Nairobi Central Business District to enforce his message of carpooling and using public transport means to avoid high prices of fuel.
Kutoka Ngong hadi town hapa wanalipa shilingi 150. Kurudi 150. Kila siku ni shilingi 300.
While addressing his supporters in the CBD at a public baraza free of uniformed police, the Azimio chief emphasized his call to the government to reduce the cost of living, declaring that it was becoming unbearable for most Kenyans.
Wakaniambia mafuta ndio hiyo. Kodi ya nyumba ndio hiyo. Karo ya shule haya yote kwa hivyo imekuwa adimu sana.
Raila lamented that the increased price of fuel will see prices of basic food commodities skyrocket.
Sasa tutasanya masahihi milioni 15. 15.
The former premier said his 15 million signatures collection drive will also mount pressure on the Kenya Kwanza regime to abandon the controversial Finance Act 2023, while also confirming the Azimio's protest scheduled for this Wednesday.
Jumatano. Muko tayari?
However, Interior CS Kithure Kindiki, while in Meru County to operationalize a Goji sub-county, want Azimio against destruction of property.
Those extreme ideas that when you disagree on a political issue, you cause mayhem, you hurt people, you close businesses, you close public highways, you uproot, facilities. That culture must stop.
Kindiki said police are under firm instructions to deal with those aiming to cause mayhem in the country.
Mesikia kuna watu wamesema story nyingi kule. Sijui vile watafanya Jumatano. Mkuje asubuhi tukutane. Because hii nchi sio yenu peke yao. Ni ya kila mtu. Hata wale hawako kwa maandamano ni nchi yao.
Give us in minor Prime Edition.
And the Ministry of Health has announced a reduction in the turnaround time for payment of suppliers to the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority. Health Cabinet Secretary Susan Nakhumicha warned suppliers not to compromise on quality and at the same time refrain from overpricing their products.
The inaugural conference organized by the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority saw suppliers and other stakeholders congregate at the College of Insurance to brainstorm on revamping the authority to improve service delivery. It's here that Health Cabinet Secretary Susan Nakhumicha responded to complaints from suppliers over delays in payments.
The chair is telling me that we have been doing an average of 260 days. But now we are at 110 days. And should things work according to plan, this should be reduced to a maximum of 90 days.
These suppliers, however, risk having their tenders withdrawn should they be found overpricing their products.
I would like to send a very strong message to the management that we shall not condone. And I know it. Previously I have said even if it means sending home everyone in KEMSA and starting afresh, as a government, we are ready to do it. The affordability of HPTs is integral in ensuring access to healthcare services, particularly for low-income segments of our population.
KEMSA is also banking on technology to increase its transparency by investing in acquisition of a new enterprise resource planning system.
The new ERP system will improve supply chain management, optimize inventory levels, and provide real-time insights into the status of our operations.
And we will be addressing the governance issues, looking at our issues, human resource issues, looking at our governance structures, looking at our processes, making sure that we are able to deliver.
The authority's leadership is also working to restore public confidence in the entity. Yusufar reporting for Prime Edition.
And two managers of the Limuru-based Brown's Cheese Company who allegedly ordered female employees to strip have been released on bail. Limuru Senior Resident Magistrate Jared Magori released them on a bond of 300,000 shillings each. Declined an earlier request by the Chief Prosecutor Felix Mutua to detain the suspects for 10 days to enable him complete investigations. The suspects are required to report to the police twice a week pending the mentioning of the case on the 24th of July to determine whether they will be prosecuted. The managers had been arrested in connection with an incident in which female employees were allegedly forced to undress at work to determine who had unhygienically dumped a used sanitary pad.
Each of the suspects is admitted to a bond of 300,000 shillings with one sheriff of similar amount, or a cash bail of 150,000 shillings, pending the approval of the charges to be preferred and taking of plea. And the suspect's respondents, upon being released on bond or cash bail, to report to the Sub-County Criminal Investigations Officer twice a week on every Thursday and Monday.
Quite an unfortunate story that. Now that is where we take our first break here on Prime Edition. Remember, you can interact with us on Twitter. We are at KBC Channel 1. My personal Twitter handle is at Betty Kiptum. See you after the break.
Mamlaka ya ukusanyaji ushuru nchini KRA kwa ushirikiano na KBC inawaalika mjumuike nasi katika bonge la roadshow itakayofanyika Nairobi County. Njoo ujifunze kuhusu e-teams na jinsi imerahisisha ulipaji wa kodi. Alhamisi tarehe 13 mwezi huu wa Julai, msafara wetu utaanzia Kangundo Road na kuelekea Kasarani hapo Total Petrol Station, Mwiki, Githurai 45 Stage, Roysambu, Kahawa West na tumalizie Zimmerman. Ijumaa tarehe 14 tutakuwa maeneo ya Juja Road na Outer Ring Road. Pale maafisa wa KRA watakuwa na mobile offices hapo Pumwani, mtaa wa Khalif Isli, Majengo, Kariobangi, Fedha, Pipeline, Kayole na tumalizie Dandora. Na siku ya Jumamosi tarehe 15 msafara wetu utatembelea maeneo ya Kangemi, Mountain View Mall, Udhiru, Dagoreti, Satellite, Nairobi West, South B, South C, Ngong Road, Kibra, Karen, Ngong na tumalizie huko Rongai. Kutakuwa na burudani, vichekesho na zawadi kem za kushindaniwa. Jitokeze ujifunze mengi kuhusu e-teams na masuala mengine yanayohusika na KRA. KRA, tulipe ushuru, tujitegemee.
Cheza Loto Moto. Sasa unaweza jishindia instantly na Loto Moto. Dial *570# wakati wowote, siku yoyote ya wiki na mahali popote. Dial *570#. Kisha chagua moja kati ya games za Loto Moto. Weka stakes zako 50 shillings, 300, 500, 2,000 shillings. The bigger your stake, the greater or the bigger your prizes. Cheza mara kadhaa na kumbuka, cheza responsibly. 18 years and above.
Cheza Loto Moto.
This is not family dance group and you are watching Great Brother.
Time for the legendary artist Nameless came, and he proved that he still got it. As if that wasn't enough, he brought out Wahoo, and the sweet love hitmaker wowed the revelers.
It's amazing to see a family event where people can come, enjoy an afternoon, and with good music and with a community of friends or family.
And Nikita Kering, and these two artists are going to be doing renditions of their song. They're going to be put up together with other artists from Africa. They've not yet unveiled these artists, but the minute they do, you know that we are your plug. We will be letting you know who else will be part of Coke Studio Africa.
Can't wait.
Welcome back. You are watching Prime Edition now. Intergovernmental Authority on Development says availability of accurate, reliable and timely migration data will facilitate development of evidence-based policies and national development plans to benefit the region. IGAD is holding its 4th Migration Data Technical Workshop in Nairobi to address challenges and opportunities facing immigration and displacement data systems. The 4-day forum brings together 60 participants from IGAD member states, including experts in migration and statistics.
When we talk about the gaps in terms of the collection of migration statistics, number one is majorly the differences in the methodologies that the data are being collected, and also some definitions. In addition to that, one of the obstacles is when we come to the issues of the data sharing amongst the different institutions that deals with migration and displacement statistics. Issues that we are discussing in terms of the timelines towards the development of harmonization guidelines, which we expect by the end of this year that we'll have the guidelines.
And the current Sudan conflict has added a further layer of complexity in the current mobility and migration setting or landscape. That even more stressed the importance of this work.
At the AU level, we are now working hard to make sure that our continent will produce our own data, because migration is our own phenomenon. When you analyze your own phenomenon, you should produce your own data rather than to count on with data who's coming from international sources.
And women rights activists have decried that inclusivity of women has not been achieved despite the Maputo Protocol celebrating its 20th anniversary. They noted that gender gaps between men and women, girls and boys, still exist, with disparity in political empowerment topping the list, despite great efforts to promote inclusivity and prosperous economies and societies.
Commemoration of the 20th anniversary of the Maputo Protocol on Women's Rights in Nairobi, bringing together different delegates from all over Africa. Here, different stakeholders noted the progress so far.
The Maputo Protocol stands as a shining beacon of hope, a testament to the commitment and determination of African nations to safeguard the rights and dignity of women.
They, however, decried challenges such as discrimination, sexual harassment and violence against women, which hinder attainment of gender equalities.
Continuing existence of stereotypical beliefs about gender roles for women and men persist and actually causes a great challenge for women within the continent.
Inclusivity of women, the gender case in our ministries has not been achieved.
I want to request that we take investment in adolescent health as the most urgent intervention we need to take now.
In Kenya, the government has extensively anchored gender equality and non-discrimination principles in Chapter 4 of the Constitution under the Bill of Rights as a commitment to promoting gender equality and empowerment to women.
Wengi wanasoma from us in terms of masuala ya kina mama na kupiga hatua kwao katika misingi yote ile ambayo nimeizungumza, kupigana na dhuluma za kijinsia, uongozi katika nafasi za uongozi na masuala ya kuinua kina mama kiuchumi.
Now present at the judiciary, and those that are coming after us are going to implement all the laws that protect women, starting with the Maputo Protocol and all other laws.
The African women leaders, however, called for universal ratification of the Maputo Protocol that speaks to the core issues that affect women and girls in the continent. So far, 44 out of 55 African countries have ratified the protocol. The Maputo Protocol was adopted by the Assembly of the African Union in Maputo, Mozambique in 2003. Jacqueline Masharia for Prime Edition.
And a 2021 report by the World Health Organization says between 435,000 and 580,000 people die annually to snake bites. Some cases of snake bites are caused by accidentally stepping on the serpents, while others are purely through provocation. In the Part 2 series of My Day with the Snake Man, Raphael Edapal, a seasoned snake handler at the National Museums of Kenya, gives us tidbits on precautions to take to avoid snake bites. We would like to caution our viewers that some pictures are disturbing.
From puff adders to pythons to the most deadly cobras, Raphael Edapal has handled different species of snakes for more than 2 decades.
No, that smile face means the snake is deadly. Like a black mamba has a smile face. All mambas has a smile face. Yeah, that's the sign of taking you to the grave. Huyu sio nyoka wa sumu, huyu ni constrictor. Huyu ni ule wa kunyonga. The bigger the scale, the more the snake is dangerous.
The venom milked from snakes is an antidote.
That's why tunataka serikali hata at least itengeneze nini ya kutengeneza antivenom hapa Kenya ama Afrika hapa. Kenya, mostly Kenya, kwa sababu Kenya tuko na nyoka nyingi sana. Samaki?
Snakes are important to the ecosystem. Edapal is a snake bite survivor after accidentally stepping on a puff adder.
Everybody was calling me, see if I'm alive.
Yes. 14 hours.
14 hours without antivenom.
You did have taken.
If it was black mamba, I could have died a long time. But we need to be serious with these hospitals to have antivenom. Because if I miss here, nipate pale. Wanisaidie. Lakini sasa unatoka hapa, hakuna antivenom, hakuna huko. So how can you survive?
He says Because of lack of knowledge, people get attacked by snakes.
People don't understand snake. When they see a snake, they say this snake is poisonous. They start looking for the rungus. So cobra ikifungua kichwa namna hii, ujue huyo ako ready kukuuma. So unakaa mbali.
This is a juvenile python, and most people know pythons as dangerous snakes. But according to Raphael Edapal, a python is very calm and polite. Pythons are his favorite snakes. They are non-venomous.
A python ukiishi naye kwa nyumba, akifikisha kitu kama 8 meters, uone anakataa kukula, ujua anakucreate space kwa tumbo yake. They create space, big space.
In case you are attacked by a python, Edapal advises on how to save yourself.
Unaweka mkono hivi. Hivi. Akijaribu kustick unatumia hii kuifungua. So ukiweka hivi ni rahisi sana kukuua. Some people get a snake inside the house. They were shocked. How did this snake come to my house? And I have stairs. They didn't pass through stairs. They passed through that branches in your wall to inside the house. So we encourage them to clear any tree near the window. They are good swimmers. Dampu nyingi usiende kukaka hapo ikozi python, sababu pythons napenda maji sana.
And when bitten by a snake?
When you're bitten by a snake, don't rush. You have to become calm, because the more you are making your blood running fast, the more you are making your life to be in danger. The viper venom, they just rot the place. It's rotting slowly. Yeah, but for the cobras, you have to tie, because the venom is going through the veins. So you have to tie so the blood will go slowly.
He advises the public to have knowledge of different types of snakes for prompt treatment in case they are bitten by snakes. Mosquito nets are also helpful.
Walale ndani ya neti kuzuia nyoka kupanda kwa kitanda.
He calls for support to help him to create more awareness about snakes.
Ama naweza itwa shule fulani kuelimisha watoto kuhusu nyoka. Itakuwa nzuri sana. Hata mimi nitaipenda sana.
Sheila Kayaro Yogo reporting for KBC in Nairobi.
Hii ndio black.
I think Sheila was very brave to put that snake on her, but of course more power to Raphael Edapal for handling those snakes on a daily basis. We hope that you have learned something and you're staying safe when you see those snakes. Now moving on to other stories, he served as Minister for Public Works between 1989 and 1992. This week on the Cabinet, we focus on Timothy Mibei, who served in President Daniel Arap Moi's cabinet.
Timothy Mibei's entry into the cabinet came in a reshuffle that ended the career of some ministers. He replaced John Koech as the Minister for Public Works and served between 1989 and 1992. Mibei attended Kabianga High School and later taught at Gitarwet Primary School in Bureti area before starting the process of joining the legal career. He studied law through correspondence while still working as a teacher. He graduated with a law degree from Dar es Salaam University. Shortly after, he was posted to Nandi as a resident magistrate in Kapsabet. While in active politics, Mibei was deeply in KANU and among the politicians who campaigned against the introduction of multi-party politics. In the 1988 general election, Mibei was elected Member of Parliament for Bureti, serving only one term. In the general election of 1992, he lost to Jonathan Ngeno. After failing to return to Parliament, Mibei left Nairobi for his ancestral home in Bureti, where he lived a quiet life. He died in 2013. Jackie Wambiru, The Cabinet.
kabla sijapata maradhi ya moyo. Tell me one more thing. Kuna mwingine au ni ula bandi?
Ingekuwa wewe umesikia kwamba mke wako ankwendea kinyume ungesikiaje? Mimi sioni haja sisi kuja hapa.
Oh really? Halafu ili jumba lote tumwachie nani? Mimi hapa kazi yangu ni wewe tu. Twende basi nao.
Safari ondoka, uende kufanya kazi zako.
Chukua off mama.
Sawa? Nilikwambia mwanamke ni kisirani na hafanyi mzaha kabisa.
Kwa hivyo mimi ndio nafanya mzaha.
This is the show that keeps you updated on everything you need to know about technology.
Digital resilience is about organizations being able to continue to operate despite negative impacts that they've experienced.
The subject digital transformation, we keep talking about it, but very many people fail to understand that.
Twitter's removal of blue ticks is forcing accounts to find new ways to prove authenticity as concerns over copycats mount. At the same time, Elon Musk has given blue ticks to a few celebrities who didn't ask for one, such as writer Stephen King and Larry Madowo, for free.
Click on Tech every Monday at 10:30 p.m. on KBC Channel 1. Stay tuned.
Well, I'm glad that you have had a wonderful day this Monday evening. We take a look at the day's news in the business world. Now, victims of wildlife conflict will start receiving their compensation from tomorrow after a decade of wait. Tourism Cabinet Secretary Penina Malonza says the National Treasury has released 1 billion shillings for the process, which will start tomorrow in Taita Taveta County. The Ministry of Tourism has also entered into a strategic partnership with Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. Under the deal, the state broadcaster will launch various products to showcase and market Kenya's tourism, cultural and heritage products to local and international audience.
The government owes victims of human-wildlife conflict more than 10 billion shillings dating back more than a decade ago. Lack of funds has been a major challenge affecting the compensation process. Under the Kenya Wildlife Management Compensation Act of 2013, each beneficiary is supposed to receive 5 million shillings for loss of life, while life-altering injuries are compensated at a rate of 3 million shillings per individual.
This Wednesday, at 10 o'clock, we're going to give the first check after, I think, so many years, actually. If I look at the people who have not been compensated, they date back to 2013.
Tourism and Wildlife Cabinet Secretary Penina Malonza says the compensation process will kick off in Taveta County before the process is rolled out to other affected areas.
And we are not saying that we are going to revert if the Parliament wants to refer to the whole law, they will do that. But what we are saying, we pursuing new strategies that can see beyond the compensation, because here is like dealing with the symptoms other than dealing with the root causes. And I, as a cabinet secretary, I have said I will not deal with the symptoms. I will not wait for symptoms. I will deal with the root cause.
Speaking during a meeting with the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, the tourism CS says the government is exploring various ways to minimize cases of human-wildlife conflict. Under the partnership, KBC will roll out various programs aimed at promoting Kenya's tourism, wildlife and cultural products.
If it were not for local tourism, the hotels and other businesses that suffered a lot during COVID could have gone, and those are jobs for our people, the suppliers who supply to those hotels. We promote our local tourism using all our outlets. Finally, you remember we are a public service broadcasting house. We also have a public duty to tell our story.
KBC Managing Director Samuel Minor says the state broadcaster is ready to partner with various state and non-state actors to promote Kenya.
Amid increased cases of human-wildlife conflict and such calls for compensation, the government, through the Ministry of Tourism, is working at the introduction of an insurance compensation scheme that will ensure those affected, either damaged property, crops, injury or even death, get compensated in time. I'm Regina Manyara reporting for KBC Channel 1.
Now, the government is seeking to fast-track the 2021 Livestock Bill that will facilitate establishment of the Livestock Product Marketing Board. Once established, the board will regulate the livestock product exports to the European Union, as Kenya is seeking to leverage on economic partnership agreements to acquire more markets in the Union.
Last year, Kenya's leather, skin and hides export were valued at slightly over 2.2 billion shillings. The government now says it plans to increase the export of leather products and meat to the European Union. Livestock Principal Secretary Jonathan Mweke says plans are underway to fast-track the 2021 Livestock Bill to facilitate the establishment of a livestock product marketing agency that will, among others, create quality controls in a bid to ensure local livestock products conform to high EU standards.
Get it and make it a commercially viable activity. So the bill has gone through a lot of stakeholder engagement and public participation. It's gone through validation, and it is currently at the ages for the final drafting before we send it to Parliament.
To strengthen the livestock subsector, COMESA's insurance arm ZIPRI has settled an insurance claim to pastoralists in 4 northern Kenyan counties whose livestock were affected by drought. ZIPRI Managing Director Hope Murera estimates to pay out an additional 300 million shillings this year.
We've paid out for the season of October 255 million in claims. For this season, we are looking at paying something in the range of 300 plus million to the farmers so that we create the resilience.
The private sector has been encouraged to consider increasing investments in the subsector to de-risk the livestock sector and increase production.
The program had been conceptualized in terms of de-risking the sector so that we can then attract the private sector. Then the private sector, and in this case we are looking at private capital coming in to then finance these projects.
Benson Truba reporting for Prime Edition.
Kenya is streamlining regulations towards reduction of trade barriers that affect the private sector in order to create a conducive business environment to attract investments. As the strongest economy in the East African region, Kenya is positioning itself to take advantage of the immense market offered by the African populace, even as the continent seeks to increase trade among its states.
Despite the African continent's immense potential for trade and economic growth, several challenges, among them trade barriers, tariffs, and inadequate market integration, have hindered the development of the private sector. During the 14th African Union High-Level Private Sector Forum held in Nairobi, various leaders underscored the importance of utilizing local resources to create a sustainable economic foundation. They emphasized on the need to establish robust regional value chains and harmonize trade policies to open up new markets for the African businesses.
In this age of Industry 4.0, innovation, startups, and effective patenting are key to Africa succeeding in a strong transformation and drive towards prosperity.
Many business owners across the continent are still not aware of the potential and the opportunities which the Africa Continental Free Trade Area present.
We need to support our youth entrepreneurs to see how we invest in high-tech startups that would address the solutions of our African continent.
Where are we as Africa? Selling 95% of our tea in bulk, raw, not processed. And then we are importing back when it is finished, when it's blended with orange or something else.
Why don't we then lift Africa by becoming an equitable partner to the rest of the world and says, yes, we have the resources, but convert them into finished products on the African continent.
Cabinet Secretary in the Ministry of East Africa Community, Rebecca Miano, reaffirmed Kenya's commitment to support public-private sector collaboration to enhance domestic production and reduce dependence on imports.
Regional value chains are essential for promoting intra-African trade, economic integration, and industrial development. I take this opportunity to reiterate the Government of Kenya's strong commitment to the public-private sector, continental trade and investment.
The 3-day forum will focus on public-private sector engagement for inclusive growth and sustainable development. It's no doubt that the private sector plays a pivotal role in the development of the African continent, and by bringing together African leaders to deliberate on the hindrances to effective trade, this could lead to creation of a seamless economic landscape that will allow businesses to flourish, create jobs, and lead to sustainable development. Trevor Ngendo for Prime Edition, Nairobi.
Cheza Loto Moto. Sasa unaweza jishindia instantly na Loto Moto. Dial star 570 hash. Wakati wowote, siku yoyote ya wiki na mahali popote. Dial star 570 hash. Kisha chagua moja kati ya games za Loto Moto. Weka stakes zako 50 shillings, 300, 500, 2,000 shillings. The bigger your stake, the greater or the bigger your prizes. Cheza mara kadhaa na kumbuka, cheza responsibly. 18 years and above. Cheza Loto Moto.
Honest, and I want you to tell me the truth right now. What did Dad tell Amparo that was so serious that it forced her to marry Reynaldo? Come on, tell me the truth.
I'm not used to it yet, so that's okay. You have an enemy, and I know all about him. It's Olegario Montoya.
You, Alonso, you must try to recover. And you too, Dad. The doctor has told me that somebody's trying to poison you.
Las Bandidas.
Welcome back. You're still watching Business News right here on Prime Edition. Now, Mitumba traders are calling on the government to remove restrictions on second-hand clothing as a way of encouraging reuse. Mitumba Consortium Association of Kenya Chair Bishop Teresia Wairimu says second-hand clothes support about 2 million jobs in Kenya and is a key revenue earner that should be developed using collaborative framework.
The second-hand clothes industry netted $419 million in government revenues across East Africa. Despite this, it remains classified under the informal sector, the industry that is a blend of both skilled and unskilled labor. Demand for second-hand clothes in Kenya arises from its affordability, good quality, and the trendy perception as compared to new clothes which are perceived as expensive. Industry players are calling for increased infrastructural investments into the supply chain, including the expansion of sorting centers that will ensure the subsector operates at its full potential.
We should have more sorting centers located in East African countries, including here in Kenya, for a variety of reasons, one of which is that it creates more jobs, also that this could lead to a reduction in prices for the consumer. So having more sorting centres located here on the continent of Africa and in East Africa will be important for increasing choice and reducing prices for the consumer and generating even more jobs in the future.
Additionally, they called on the private sector to commit to investing in recycling by providing favorable conditions and support for businesses committed to sustainable practices.
By providing favorable conditions and support for businesses committed to sustainable practices. This will further enhance the circular production model and ensure a greener future for our region.
They are calling for policies that promote local textile industries to work alongside the second-hand clothing business without any of them undermining the other.
It is time to embrace its potential and work together to create a prosperous, sustainable and inclusive future for East Africa.
Nduta Mokami for Prime Edition.
Kenya needs to boost investments in research and innovations in order to tap the immense opportunities in space exploration. Space Application Training Officer Meshak Nderitu says Kenya is ready to collaborate with international organizations to help pursue astronomy as well as support startups through incubation and accelerators program.
Who could not join us because of some official engagement.
The key programs we are implementing currently under the Earth observation domain is the GMES in Africa, a collaboration between Europe and Africa in Earth observation. We're focusing on improvement of management of natural resources, water management, as well as marine and coastal areas management. And we are applying space applications to add value and to bring the data into perspective to allow the decision makers make decisions from an informed perspective.
Now, smallholder farmers in Nakuru County are set to receive training to reduce the use of harmful pesticides in the food value chain. The Ukulima True initiative is rolled out in partnership with the Center for Agriculture and Bioscience International.
The misuse of pesticides is causing loss of biodiversity, destroying beneficial insect populations, and reducing food safety, according to agricultural experts. In a bid to lower the risk of contaminating produce with dangerous pathogens, Nakuru County Government, in partnership with Center for Agriculture and Bioscience International (KBC), is equipping farmers with skills on good agricultural practices.
We want farmers to learn on how to use their pesticides, the agrochemicals, and reducing the usage of the agrochemicals. We also want them to learn on the effects of using too much of it.
Tunapata afueni wakati we have the biological products zenye zinasaidia kupigana na hawa wadudu. Kuna mitego ya FCM, the force coding mob in avocados.
Through the Ukulima True campaign, farmers will be trained on guidelines for producing safe food to streamline Kenya's food production systems and align them with the sanitary and phytosanitary standards.
Such this campaign will strengthen the already existing efforts by the county government to enhance awareness of food safety and shift behaviors of stakeholders aimed at reducing food safety risks during production, transportation, and distribution.
The program will also help farmers adapt integrated crop management and integrated pest and disease management practices that advocate for building diverse and resilient systems to drought, pests, and diseases.
Kuna dawa siwezi kumbuka ni gani tulikuwa tumeambiwa na serikali si mzuri, but tuna find inapenya tu na sisi tunazipata kama wakulima. Sasa sijui vile serikali inaweza fanya izuie hizo dawa either kwa boda ama kwa hizi maagrovet zetu.
Other aspects of the initiative include crop diversification, rotation and intercropping to take advantage of natural repellents and physical barriers for insect control. Frederick Muki for Prime Edition.
Well, that marks the end of business news for tonight, but you can find more stories on our website at kbc.co.ke. My name is Wadi Mojenga. Have a good night. Tomorrow is another day for more business news.
박연 사건으로 시신 운반 관련자를 알아냈다. 그렇다면 다음은
우리나 잘못되니까 내가 불편해서 그런다. 불편 뜻 알죠? 좁고 눅눅하고 따끔하고.
팀장이 있었는데 교통사고가 났습니다.
Прикончил?
Да.
Я жду. Там одна девка осталась. Быстро прикончу.
Да.
I need some air. This office looks
bigger.
Let me see the clip of Alice sneaking into the office.
You want to ruin me and everything I've worked hard for.
Nick, what if Alice took it? She has it.
You better dig a grave for two.
Joel stabbed my dad in the back.
Send it to me directly.
Unakumbuka you've been served? It's about to get ugly.
I'm floating. The doctors are coming back, and Dad isn't here.
Welcome back to KBC Prime Edition. My name is Karen Kibet. Let's now take a look at what's making headlines in the world of sports. The national men's basketball team, Kenya Morans, advanced to the quarterfinals of the ongoing 2023 FIBA African Championships despite losing 63-66 to Gabon in their second Group A match in Luanda, Angola. The Cliff Award Chargers finished top of the group ahead of Cote d'Ivoire and Gabon.
Give and go, a chance here, and sends that one a difficult shot, and he gets it.
Kenyan Morans started the match on a high note, but several unforced errors restricted them to a narrow 16-15 win in the first quarter. Morans bagged the second quarter 16-12 to send the match into the breather, Kenya leading 32-27.
That one taken down, and ability to...
A regrouped Gabon won the third and fourth quarters of 27-18 and 13-12 respectively to register a narrow 66-63 victory. Despite the loss, the Cliff Award Chargers finished the top of Group A ahead of Cote d'Ivoire and Gabon. Kenya Morans narrowly lost to DRC in the finals of the last edition of AfroCan held in 2019.
Not going to be enough as Adera skips by one, will go for the layup and gets it to sink, but with 1.44 seconds to go.
Hong Kong junior rugby team arrived in the country last night ahead of the World Rugby Under-20 Trophy tournament set to kick off this weekend at the Nya National Stadium. Hong Kong is drawn in Pool B alongside hosts Kenya, Spain and Samoa in the 8-team tournament.
Hong Kong are in Pool B and will open their campaign against Spain, then face Samoa on 20th July before concluding their preliminary matches against host Kenya on 25th July. Hong Kong Under-20 head coach Logan Asplin said they are well prepared, having trained together for a week.
We've had a week together, and obviously that preparation has put us in a pretty good place leading into this week and onwards. So Spain first game in a week's time, but first and foremost, the rugby is really important, but the experience these young men get, and us as coaches and management, for the 3 weeks we're here, we're pretty excited about. So, as he's mentioned, 4 players from, I think, 10.
As a team, we are not just thinking about ourselves as players, but we're thinking about the future of Hong Kong rugby.
The team is composed of players drawn from 10 cities, including United Kingdom, New Zealand and Australia.
A lot of players, we've all come from different sort of areas of the world, the UK, New Zealand, Australia, all sort of countries, and we've all got ties to Hong Kong through family and life, so it's awesome to come together as a team and have the opportunity to play some awesome rugby alongside some really quality teams.
The tournament will kick off this Saturday until 30th and has 8 teams drawn in 2 pools. Pool A has Scotland, Uruguay, USA and Zimbabwe, while host Kenya heads Pool B alongside Spain, Samoa and Hong Kong. Each team will play 3 matches before a ranking match on the final day. Trophy winners will gain promotion to the World Rugby Under-20 Championship in 2024. For Channel 1 Sports, I'm Sela Onyango.
Thank you, Onyango, for that report. Moving on, Bandari Swim Club emerged victorious as the curtains came down on the Mombasa County Swimming Association Invitational Interclubs Championship held at the Aga Khan Academy pool. Bandari Swim garnered 2,149.5 points to bag the overall title.
Bandari, under the guidance of Kenya team coach Fakri Mansour, was unstoppable, easily winning the overall title. Mombasa Aquatics Club finished in second place, garnering 1,147 points. Otter Swim Club from Nairobi finished third with 663.5 points, while Blue Ocean took fourth position with 335 points. Sailfish Swim Club completed the top 5 positions.
All the swimmers have enjoyed, and we've seen a lot of good talent coming in, and we should be hosting our next gala in the month of November.
In the men's category, Bandari Swim Club took top honors. Mombasa Aquatics was placed second with 654 points, followed by Otter Swim Club with 397.5 points, while in the ladies category, Bandari carried the day. Mombasa Aquatics was second with 373 points, followed by Otters with 250 points. The swimming gala attracted more than 200 swimmers drawn from Nairobi and Mombasa.
Thank you, Karanja, for that report. Taimur Malik of Muthaiga Golf Club won the 71st edition of the Mount Kenya Championship at Par 72 Nyeri Golf Club's course. He took the title after beating John Lejima on the second playoff hole after having tied 1 under par after 54 holes. The 3-day ranking event had a field of 80 golfers battling out for the prestigious title and cash prize of 400,000 Kenya shillings and was sponsored jointly by NCBA Bank and Communications Authority of Kenya. The top 36 after 2 rounds made the cut to the final round, set to be held at Limuru County Club.
Top seeded players who will be receiving a pass that has been of 400,000, proudly sponsored by the Communications Authority of Kenya and NCBA Bank.
The ball very well all 3 days. Had some really tough competition from Ledge and Elvis. The last day it was really fun to play with both of them. I really enjoyed it.
Kilifi Governor Gideon Mung'aro says the return of the National Motocross Championship to the region will play an integral role in marketing sports tourism in Kilifi. Mung'aro made the remarks when he flagged off this year's Round 5 of the National Motorsports Competition at Vipingo Ridge in Kilifi County. Mung'aro said the championship will attract sports tourists in Kilifi and also develop sports in the county. The National Motocross Championship was returning to Vipingo Ridge following the successful hosting of last year's event after 16 years. The event was organized in partnership with Vipingo Ridge Motorcycle Federation of Kenya and the Mombasa Motor Club.
It was a good race, the competition was good, but luckily I got ahead first and then I was able to keep it from there.
And we're delighted to be able to promote motorsports here in Kilifi County. This will be the one of many events, hopefully, and we want to be a permanent fixture on the championship. And we want to develop the sport at the coast as well. The guys were telling me it's 32 years since there's been a round of the National Motocross Championship at the coast.
I've said one of our agendas as a county is to market sports tourism. And you can see many people want to come. We have just been speaking with the organizers that we might have one again in December. Then we said in 2 years, early start the Africa one. Then they are planning also for Africa event. But this December we might have a big one, which will have over 250 people.
And finally, Al Ittihad has expressed their interest in signing Juventus midfielder Paul Pogba on a 3-year deal worth £85 million. Meanwhile, newly promoted Burnley is closing in on a deal for Borussia Dortmund player Soumaila Coulibaly on a season loan deal.
Al Ittihad is looking to bolster their midfield as they look to sign Juventus midfielder Paul Pogba. The Saudi club will offer the player a 3-year deal worth £85 million, but it's up to the player to accept the deal. Elsewhere, Juventus are willing to sell Vlahovic to Chelsea for just £21 million in a part exchange deal for Romelu Lukaku. The old lady had rejected £51 million for the Serbian forward Vlahovic, insisting on their £77 million asking price. However, Juventus would drop that price to just £21 million if Lukaku moves in the opposite direction of Turin. In England, free agent Andros Townsend is training the newly promoted Premier League side Burnley after leaving Everton following the expiry of his contract. The Clarets are also closing in on a one-season loan deal for Borussia Dortmund defender Soumaila Koulibaly. They are also expected to sign England under-21 international goalkeeper James Trafford after agreeing a £15 million deal with the champions Manchester City.
Trafford saves! It's a double save!
And those are all the sports stories we had for you tonight. My name is Karen Kibet. I'm now joined by my colleague Betty Kiptum. It's such an honor. It was amazing having you as the captain for tonight's bulletin, Betty.
Indeed, it's an honor. Of course, most times I'm doing the business news, but today I've been captaining the show, so it's been great. Thank you, Karen. Well, tomorrow, remember that Azimio has planned the demos, but of course, even as you exercise your right to demonstrate, remember that you don't have a right to destroy property, so do it peacefully if you're going to join the demos. That's it for the news tonight. Thank you very much from all over 150 people that touched some bits of this bulletin. We thank you for watching and wish you a good night. My name is Betty Kiptum. On the sign language interpretation has been Lucy Moura. Thank you very much. Good night.